If you are transitioning out of the military this year, you've likely been told that your only path to civilian success is a desk job or an MBA. I'm here to tell you that the safe path is a trap designed for men who don't know how to operate when systems fail. You don't need to be retrained for the civilian world. You need a theater that respects your physical base. Today, I'm going to show you why the skilled trades are the only career path in 2026 that rewards the discipline and lethal competence you already possess. 200,000 service members transition out of the military every year. Men and women who spent years operating inside one of the most demanding institutional frameworks on the planet. Structured hierarchy, physical rigor, mission-driven execution, accountability enforced by consequences, and a culture that values competence over credentials. And what does the mainstream transition apparatus tell most of them? Get a degree, learn to code, find a desk. That advice isn't just wrong, it's structurally incompatible with the operating system these men were built to run. The military builds men around what I call in my book the stronghold, the physical base. The foundational layer of analog redundancy, physical competence, and operational self-sufficiency that allows a man to function when systems fail, when the power goes out, when the supply chain breaks, when the plan falls apart and you have to adapt, improvise, and execute with whatever resources are physically in front of you. A combat engineer who's built a bridge under fire has a physical base that most civilians will never develop. A motor transport operator who's kept a fleet running in a desert with limited parts has analog redundancy skills that no college course teaches. An electrician's mate on a destroyer who's maintained power systems at sea, where there is no calling a contractor where the system works or people die, has a technical competence that most civilian electricians never experience. That physical base is an asset, a high-value, rare, and increasingly scarce asset in an economy where most workers have never operated outside of an air-conditioned office with a help desk on speed dial. And the mainstream transition pipeline takes that asset and buries it behind a desk. Here's what happens to a veteran in a typical corporate environment. He walks into an office where the hierarchy is ambiguous, the accountability is diffuse, and the daily execution consists of meetings, emails, and PowerPoint decks. His chain of command instinct has no outlet because civilian management culture avoids direct authority. His physical competence atrophies because the job doesn't require it. His mission orientation, the need to be part of something with stakes, something where his performance has tangible consequences, gets replaced by performance reviews and vague statements about company culture. He spends 8 hours in a conference room debating a slide deck, and at the end of the day, he can't point to a single physical thing he produced. The meeting generated another meeting. The email generated another email. For a man trained to execute and produce, that loop isn't work, it's a simulation of work, and his nervous system knows the difference. This isn't an adjustment disorder. This is a high-performance operating system being forced to run in an environment that doesn't have the inputs it was designed to process. The veteran doesn't need a therapist to explain why the desk job feels wrong. He needs someone to tell him the truth. The desk job feels wrong because it is wrong. It's the wrong theater for his assets. He's a combat-ready operator sitting in an environment that requires none of the capabilities that make him exceptional. The skilled trades are a different theater entirely. And the operational overlap with military service is so precise that it's almost suspicious nobody talks about it. Military hierarchy maps directly to the trade hierarchy. Apprentice, journeyman, foreman, master, contractor. This is a hierarchy built on competence, not credentials. You advance because you can do the work. A veteran who spent 4 years operating within military hierarchy already understands trade hierarchy at a structural level. He doesn't need to be taught accountability, punctuality, respect for rank, or execution under pressure. Military discipline maps directly to trade apprenticeship. In the military, you learn by doing under supervision. You don't read about how to maintain a vehicle, but you maintain a vehicle while a senior NCO watches, corrects, and demands higher standards. Trade apprenticeship works exactly the same way. You learn by doing the work under a journeyman or master who corrects your technique in real time and holds you to standards that the job requires. And the classroom is the job site. The exam is whether the system works. A veteran has spent years in exactly this learning environment. He already knows how to take instruction, absorb correction without ego, and build skill through repetition and practice. The apprenticeship structure doesn't need to be explained to him. He's already lived it. Physical competence transfers directly to trade skill. Military service develops hand-eye coordination, spatial awareness, mechanical aptitude. the ability to work in confined spaces, stamina under physical load, and precision under time pressure. The infantryman who can strip and reassemble a weapon system in the dark has the fine motor skills for electrical terminations. The mechanic who rebuilt transmissions in a motor pool has the aptitude for HVAC compressor work. The combat engineer who operated heavy equipment has the skills for commercial construction. These aren't abstract comparisons, these are direct capability transfers. And here's the one that nobody in the transition space talks about. In my book, Monster by Design, I describe shadow integration, the ability to cultivate lethal capability while maintaining disciplined restraint. That's the psychological profile of an elite military operator. And it's also the exact profile of a master tradesman. A master electrician opens a 400 amp panel with live bus bars 6 inches from his hands. He terminates connections in switchgear where an arc flash can reach 35,000 degrees, hotter than the surface of the sun, in a fraction of a second. A master welder operates equipment that can cause catastrophic structural failure if the joint doesn't hold. A pipe weld on a high-pressure steam line, a structural connection on a building frame. A master plumber installs systems where a single error can flood a building, create a gas leak that kills a sleeping family, or contaminate a municipal water supply. A master HVAC technician handles refrigerants under pressure that can cause frostbite on contact and works with electrical components in confined mechanical rooms where the margin for error is measured in millimeters. These are men who work with dangerous forces every day and control them through skill, discipline, and earned respect for the consequences of failure. That's shadow integration in civilian form. The capacity for destruction is always present, in the voltage, in the flame, in the pressure, in the chemistry, and the tradesman masters it through competence and restraint. The same way a soldier masters the capacity for violence through training and rules of engagement, the danger doesn't go away, the man learns to operate inside it with precision. A veteran already has this psychological architecture. He's already integrated the shadow. He's already comfortable operating in environments where the consequences of failure are serious and real. He doesn't flinch around danger, he manages it. That makes him not just compatible with the trades, it makes him pre-qualified for the psychological demands of the work at a level that most civilian apprentices have to spend years developing. Now let me show you why 2026 specifically is the moment to execute this transition. A report published in February 2026 found that veterans are better positioned for AI-resilient careers than most of the civilian workforce. The report identified skilled trades as one of 6 career sweet spots, sectors where AI displacement risk is near zero, income growth is accelerating, and the workforce shortage creates immediate demand. This is an opinion, this is institutional research confirming what the structural data has shown for years. The institutional pipeline for veterans into the trades is expanding faster than at any point in the last 20 years. NCCER and Hiring Our Heroes launched the HOH Skilled Trades Academy in February 2026, a 6-week accelerated program specifically designed for transitioning service members, funded by the Lowe Foundation. 6 weeks, not 4 years. Intensive, hands-on, structured, and outcome-driven, designed around the military learning model. The GI Bill covers vocational and trade training, not just college. A shocking number of veterans don't know this because VA counselors overwhelmingly default to college pathways. The GI Bill can fund apprenticeship programs, trade school tuition, tools, certification exams, and provides a monthly housing allowance while you train. A veteran can enter a 4-year electrical apprenticeship through the IBEW, have the program funded by the GI Bill, earn apprentice wages starting at $18 to $22 an hour, collect the housing allowance on top of that, and walk out with a journeyman's license, 0 debt, and 4 years of practical experience. That's $45,000 to $55,000 a year during training, building toward a journeyman salary of $70,000 to $90,000 within 5 years of discharge. Compare that to the MBA path, like 2 years of full-time school, $80,000 to $120,000 in debt, even after GI Bill offset, and entry into a job market where AI is compressing management salaries and eliminating entry-level positions. The math isn't close. The union apprenticeship programs are actively recruiting veterans, the IBEW, the United Association of Plumbers and Pipefitters, the sheet metal workers. These organizations have publicly stated that veterans are their preferred candidates because the union model mirrors military structure. They're not doing veterans a favor. They're recognizing that veterans arrive pre-built for the apprenticeship model. Let me give you 2 examples of how this plays out in practice. A Marine Corps combat engineer who transitioned in 2023 entered an IBEW apprenticeship in the Phoenix metro area. His military construction experience gave him a baseline that most first-year apprentices don't have. He completed tasks faster, made fewer errors, and adapted to new techniques more quickly because he'd been trained to learn physical skills under pressure for 4 years before he ever touched a civilian wire nut. He's now in his third year, earning over $65,000 while he trains, and his foreman has told him he'll be running his own crew within 2 years of getting his journeyman's card. A Navy electrician's mate who spent 6 years maintaining power systems on a guided missile destroyer transitioned in 2024 and went directly into commercial electrical work. His military experience with three-phase power, switchgear, and generators gave him a foundation that would have taken a civilian apprentice 3 years to develop. He tested out of the first 2 years of his apprenticeship, earned his journeyman's license in 24 months instead of 48, and is now working on data center projects in Northern Virginia at $110,000 a year. Active duty to six-figure trade income in under 2 years. Those aren't outliers. Those are the predictable outcomes when a military-trained operator enters a theater that actually uses his assets. Here are your specific resources. Write these down. HOH Skilled Trades Academy, Hiring Our Heroes and NCCER, funded by Lowe's Foundation, 6-week accelerated program for transitioning service members. GI Bill vocational training. Contact your VA Education Benefits Office and specifically ask about apprenticeship and on-the-job training programs. Most VA counselors will default to college options unless you specifically request vocational paths. IBEW Veterans Electrical Entry Program. Contact your nearest IBEW local and ask about the VEEP program. UA Veterans in Piping, the United Association runs VIP, a program that begins trade training during the last 6 months of active duty. Helmets to Hard Hats, a national program connecting veterans to union and construction apprenticeships across all building trades. Website is helmetstohardhats.org. The trades aren't a step down from military service. They're a deployment into a civilian sector that operates on the same principles you were built on: hierarchy, discipline, physical competence, mission-driven execution, and accountability measured by results. You don't need to be retrained. You need a theater that uses what you already have. The trades are that theater, and the endgame isn't just employment, it's ownership. The same leadership skills that made you an effective NCO or officer, mission planning, crew management, resource allocation, execution under pressure, accountability for outcomes, are the exact skills required to run a trade contracting business. A veteran who earns his journeyman's license and spends 3 to 5 years building expertise and relationships has every capability needed to start his own firm. A veteran-owned electrical or HVAC contracting company has a competitive advantage that civilian-owned firms struggle to match. The owner already knows how to lead men, manage logistics under constraint, deliver on deadline, and maintain standards without compromise. The military didn't just train you for a trade, it trained you to run one. In 2026, with a 400,000-person annual retirement wave creating the largest skilled labor shortage in American history, you're not just entering a career. You're entering as the highest value asset in the most supply-constrained sector in the economy. You were built for this. The mission is waiting. Execute. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. It keeps the motor running. And if you'd like to learn more, check out my books on Amazon or click the links below.